Callaway Star wouldn't feature on the channel normally. So let me tell you why it is. I have a set of golf clubs in the bag today, which brand new would have set you back £2,500. And I've only got 9 clubs in the bag. So the big question is, Simon, why are you even featuring this on the channel? And you know what? That's a great question. So let me answer it. And there's a few reasons. Number one, I love secondhand golf clubs, and no matter how expensive a club first comes out, ultimately over the years it will come back down to earth, meaning us average golfers with realistic budgets for their golf bag get to try some of the most expensive, luxurious, out of this world equipment, well, eventually. And a second reason, especially at the top end of the bag when it comes to the driver and fairway, goes to show how close we are to the limits. If anything, they're a great telltale sign to exactly where our golf clubs are going to go in the future if the rules of golf equipment don't change. And then thirdly, how we can look at the equipment I have in the bag here today, and you guys can make some great decisions on your equipment if you fit this particular kind of player. Because ironically, even though this equipment is some of the most expensive equipment out on the market when first released, it's aimed at that slower swing speed player and potentially the beginner golfer. So thank you to the boys at Replay Golf for lending me this very luxurious set of clubs. But these aren't the most expensive, especially in the category that they're trying to compete at. We're talking lightweight shafts. We're talking maximum forgiveness. We're talking maximum launch, maximum distance for that slower swing speed player. And even though the irons retailed at $350 a stick and the driver at £700, these aren't the most expensive when it comes to this kind of category. And you might be thinking, Simon, what category is that apart from the overpriced one? I'm talking fixed hosel. The most expensive golf clubs in the world don't have adjustability. Why? Because it adds weight. They all have super light shafts. We're talking 30 gram shafts, 40 gram shafts, meaning for that slower swing speed player, they can get the most club head speed out of their equipment. Plus all that weight shaving goes to the bottom, goes to the back to help launch and forgiveness. But we're not talking any new technology. Ironically, all the descriptions pretty much for all of this equipment here has the exact same tech as the mainstream ones. So why are the irons and the wood so much more expensive? Now, don't get me wrong, there is a status element to these golf clubs, very much like the Homer Barrows version, and exactly like the Strixon XXIO range as well. There is a status to these, very much businessman golf clubs, just where they want to have a set that very much matches the Bentley. But there's a common theme through all of these golf clubs, whether it's Homer or the Strixon or these Callaway Star golf clubs, and that there's lightweight shaving pretty much everywhere apart from, well, the head. That has gone straight out the back into the trees, and that's probably because the 8 iron is lofted at 34 degrees. Now, unlike this fairway and the driver, which I'm actually going to recommend, and I'll obviously tell you the points in a minute, the irons that I have here are pretty current, pretty up to date, and still pretty expensive. We're talking £1,200 to £1,400 for 7 clubs second hand, which is obviously cheaper than the £350 price tag if you were to get them brand new. But for the type of player that I would see these useful for, i.e. a 50 to 80-year-old that's potentially just got back into the game, potentially got some injuries, whether it's wrist, arm, back, whatever it is, and can only get 50, 60 miles an hour out of their irons, meaning they need lightweight clubs, meaning they need de-lofted, meaning they need as much help as they can to get the ball up in the air. But what I do want you to take away from the irons, and basically this whole video, is that if you want the most forgiving, the most lightweight, the most high launching anything, wind back the clock. whether it's the Honma Beres version or older models of the Callaway Epic Star, we know the tech hasn't changed. We know the irons haven't changed. We know the driver face hasn't changed, but that combination of very lightweight hosel, grip, shaft and head means that you're gonna get the help that you potentially need from those irons. And if you wind the clock back far enough, well, it's gonna be better for you than potentially any steel shafted brand new clubs that come out this year. So let's move on to the woods. And yes, this is a 400-pound fairway wood in my hands, brand new. But is it 400 pounds today? Well, as I imagine you could probably guess, it isn't. That is into the stratosphere. But then again, this isn't built for me, is it? So even though I'm going to show you the prices of the driver and the fairway wood in the second-hand market and why I can justify you to actually spend that kind of money on them, let's talk about what manufacturers can do in the modern day to save weight. Because when you look at both the fairway woods and the driver, the reviews online, these are the same heads as your traditional Epic Flash, apart from 3 key elements which you are paying a lot of money for. Number 1, the shaft. Extremely lightweight shaft. I've got an extremely lightweight grip, as lightweight as you potentially can get. And then lastly, a fixed head, which you see through all the extremely expensive versions of these golf clubs, as the adjustable hosels that we see in a mainstream driver, fairway wood rescue, does add weight to the bottom end of the golf club, which saves us a grand total, and wait for it, 50 grams. 50 grams off that golf club, which I'll leave you to answer, is that worth the price tag of these golf clubs when they first come out? Because let's be honest, it does get you thinking over all of that. Maybe an unlimited budget for the most expensive manufacturers in the world with the most expensive lineups, whether it's Honma, Srixon, Callaway. The only way that we can save weight, get the ultimate fast flowing, fast club head speed sticks in our game, is by making them non-adjustable, whacking a 40 or 30 gram shaft in them, whether it's the fairway or the irons, and maybe putting a lightweight grip on the end. Seems a bit comical really, doesn't it? And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Is this the way forward? Will we see an era, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, where manufacturers want to increase that club head speed so much that we all go down to very lightweight shafts, try and stiffen them up with a process and make them all fixed hosel so that those clubs do travel faster than your older ones? Is there going to be a time in our golf history where we revert back to the fixed opposed to the adjustable, and do us as players sacrifice that adjustability, the ease, let's be honest, the convenience for a couple of grams here or there that might make a difference to our club head speed or might not? And what I mean by that is, do I take my equipment review hat off and put my golf coach hat on? Because I can guarantee a lot of golf coaches around the world had a month, 2 months, 3 months with an individual player with the same budget of spending an extortionate amount of money on a lightweight club like this. They could probably get that player to add 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour club head speed on their current equipment. And ultimately what these are targeted for at that 60, 70, 80 mile an hour club head speed player, whether it's the driver, fairway or irons, how much is that added weight down the bottom ultimately going to make when, let's be honest, that player isn't going to be hanging out in the middle 24/7. Now, sadly, I don't have the original shaft in this Epic Flash Stars. The boys at Replay Golf essentially said that it had been mangled down the bottom and they would have to reshaft it with something lightweight. So this isn't a fair test in terms of the comparison, but just like you saw with a fairway wood, it's not going to suit me. Just because this is expensive, lightweight, launch and spin is a real thing. And if I had a 30 gram, 40 gram shaft in here at 10.5 degrees, well, it's not going to go anywhere near as far as a properly adjusted 5-year-old club for 60 quid. The point I'm trying to make, however, is that for that slow club head speed player, around the 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, that once launched, wants the most club head speed that they can get and potentially has quite a low ball flight, you could shop around and not necessarily need a club fit. You're not going to need an X stiff in one of these, as essentially that would mean you're just getting a normal Epic Flash, let's be honest, a pretty cool paint job. So with that in mind, let me show you some of the prices that you can pick this combination up with that lightweight shaft actually for on the internet. Now, as I was looking online to see some prices of this, I saw on the Callaway pre-owned website, especially with their 30% off Black Friday deal, so I don't know if that's still going to be going whilst this video's up, they're going for about £170, £160, £180. And by no means, that's not the cheapest driver I've ever shown on the internet. But if you want as lightweight as you can get, 30 gram, 40 gram, fixed hosel, lightweight grip, and swing weighted to the right degree, you can't get any better. There's no point buying a Rogue ST Max with a 50 gram shaft, Stealth Max with a 50 gram shaft, as you will swing these faster. And arguably, if you are that slow club head speed player, i.e. hitting your driver 150 yards max, there's no point getting a club fit. 10.5 degree, 13.5 degree, 30 gram, light flex. Off you go. And then not to mention around that £160 price tag, £180 price tag, arguably £200 if you would find a good one on eBay, you're not going to really lose any money. You've got a great shaft, you've got a great head, and unlike the normal Callaway lineup, such as let's say your Maverick or the Flash, there's not that much supply, meaning you've got a bit of rarity, you've got a bit of collectability behind it, meaning if you keep this in good condition, you've got one of the fastest clubs in the game, which I honestly can't see is going to devalue that much over the next 3 to 4 years. And then the same goes for the fairway wood. You're getting a high quality, lightweight shaft in good condition, looks great as well. I'm not sure why they didn't bring this color paint job to the original lineup. The point I'm trying to make is that if you want the lightest club in the game, you're gonna have to go fixed hosel. You're gonna have to go a 40 gram shaft with that lightweight grip on the end. Again, considering the fairway wood still quite expensive, 140, 150 pounds around that mark, well, it's a lot cheaper than a brand new one at 250, 260. That isn't the fastest club in the game because it's not fixed hosel and it doesn't have that 40 gram lightweight shaft. I really didn't want to fat it. Therefore, it's come out thin and pitched in the bunker and gone on the green. What a star. So guys, there we are, 2022. The only way you can realistically make that club head go faster, fixed hosel, lightweight shaft, light grip. Guys, if you like this video, you potentially might like my review of the driver versus driver, £250,000 winner up here on the right hand side. Catch you guys later.